I did get a pair of pants though in my rental
Did you buy
today.
them?
No, but I think I might.
Yeah. Well, I bought a couple items.
I haven't bought anything yet. This is only my second time. Guys, we're talking about rental clothes right now, and we want you to know that it's pretty
It's
freaking awesome.
it is.
Have
You
you
get to
seen the
try new
bag
things.
rentals too?
No, but I am about to put in a rental for my tropical vacation soon because that's
Mm,
another way that it's really nice. When you go on vacation, you're like, how often am I going to really wear this thing again? No, let me just rent a couple nice dresses.
yeah.
It's great.
Okay. So we're doing a little mini episode today. Welcome to No Permission Necessary. We're back.
Love to see it.
And I think what would be really fun is if we did, I don't know, I feel like kind of breaking down what came to me honestly for just like a mini episode. Let's just do some like rapid fire questions about recovery and kind of breaking down some of the stigma of what people think recovery is or isn't.
Wow. I love that for us.
Okay,
Let's
good.
do it.
All right.
Just so everyone knows, I came into this completely unprepared for what we were about to talk about. So I'm glad that Molly was prepared with something. That's what
I'm
teamwork's
excited.
really about.
Teamwork makes the dream work, you know? All right. So I don't know. I feel like, the reason why I was kind of like a little bit inspired to do this is because recovery looks different for people as they grow and as they evolve, right? So when you think about, and this is really what sparked it, when you think about families and how they coexist with their loved ones who are in recovery, it changes. It has seasons, right? So the way they may be showing up just without substances or just without alcohol may be one way. But then as they start to regain some level of connection, community, they may be showing up in a different way. When
Hmm.
they go through a grief pattern and they go through a struggle, they may show up in a different way. And so
Hmm.
I think that it's good for us to navigate that, educate people on that, and also educate families, and professionals, because I think a lot of folks that we work with don't necessarily know or don't always see the long-term patterns. A lot of people work in the crisis. There's not as many people that work in the longer term recovery realm. Does that make sense? I just feel
Well,
like that's kind of a theme that's been coming up.
I feel like treatment's always geared towards the person who's in that crisis, right?
Hmm.
So we don't talk as much about somebody who regains the job, who has the family, who's been sober for, 15, 20 years. And like, that's not as, I don't know, it's not as discussed, but I will say that like things come out in layers for sure in recovery. You know, what's interesting that you bring this up is that I have this. I have this like packet of stuff from when I first got sober. And this week, did I text you about this?
Mm,
I
no.
don't think I did. So I find the records. I find my paperwork from the first mental health treatment provider that I went to when I was first sober, okay? The intake,
So good.
the
You should have brought that
diagnosis.
to the podcast today.
I have it right here too, and I'd have to sift through some things to get it, but whoa, okay.
Can we
Well,
talk
that
about a
that
little
person
delusion?
was unwell, okay? That person was not doing well in life. Definitely was mandated to treatment at that point.
That
Um,
is so good.
yeah, and
Okay, so well, this is good because we're gonna start off with a question that really correlates with that. What was
part of me would love to find that therapist and be like, "Ma'am, I just want you to know I'm now a licensed professional doing the same thing you used to do because I can guarantee that you didn't think I was gonna make it anywhere in life." She was like, "This one's going back. There's no doubt about it." She 1,000
listen,
you
I'm
could even tell
here.
from the notes. You could tell from the notes she had no faith that I was gonna be staying sober at all. High
I think
risk of
it's really
relapse was all
nice.
over that paperwork.
I think it's really nice to go back to, providers and people that have seen you evolve. I mean, I honestly, there's one woman who facilitated my first intervention when I was 17, and you know, she was a therapist who got all the young kids who were making problems, okay? And she intervened on many of us, and she still, like, comments on my anniversaries and things like that. I just think it's, again, kinda going back to what I said originally is professionals who maybe don't see the long-term effects of what recovery is and why it's really easy to get burnt out working in our space if you're not tapping into those longevity
Yeah, it's
stories,
hard.
moments
It's hard. I mean, I worked in crisis, right? And so you see the same people cycling in and out, and
over and over
you only see the crisis, and the same for the addiction field, and it's just like that does contribute to burnout. All right, so
in a
let's
big
start with
way.
some of these rapid fire questions. What do you got?
I'm so excited. Okay, well, in essence of your paperwork that you were able to find and locate, one word to describe your active addiction.
Destructive.
Destructive. Okay, that's good. Uh,
Full
w-
stop.
one word to describe my active addiction would just be God, I feel like it's been a minute. I would say loneliness. And because the reason why I picked that word is because the reason I was doing everything was because it's like inherent loneliness really from self and from others and inability to be authentic with anybody or tell anybody the truth. I don't know. So I feel like you know,
I mean, we both shared if you're new here to listening to us or watching,
yeah.
please go back to our stories because I think we did get a little bit more vulnerable. But for people who don't know Molly and I in that context, because I think not many saw us in active addiction and then are still like in our circles now for a variety
Mhm.
of reasons. We were hot messes. We were not like, oh, she drinks a couple extras. Okay. That and dances on the bar. Okay. That would be a fun night. We were not fun at the end of the night.
No.
I just wanna be clear because sometimes normal people, and I say that, like, people who are not in the field, people who there's and they hear some of our stories, which, a joke in the behavioral health field or in addiction circles, it's like, we laugh at things that normal people don't laugh at, and I'm reminded of that when I tell a story in around normal people, and they're like, "Oh, you were unhinged."
Okay, let's do it. I have the best question for you. Okay. What does relapse actually look like for you?
Like, what would it look like now? Or I tell my husband this all the time. If I made at this point in my recovery, okay, if I made the decision to actively use drugs, which and alcohol again, which let me be very clear, is a series of decisions that are made before you actually pick up that substance, right? That's something we talk about with our clients all the time. But once I made that decision, I would have a burner phone. I would have emptied our bank accounts. You will not find me. I'm
I don't
out.
even think people today know what a burner phone is.
I'm out. People will be trying to find me on the streets of some city somewhere in the United States, and I will be out, and you will not hear from me because I will run. I'm a runner. You will not
Yeah,
hear from
same,
me.
same.
And and
I
and the
don't know if
thing
we
that
would have
people
even
don't
a phone. Phone might not
The
be.
thing the thing that people don't understand though, and thankfully I got sober before I had children, but when I was in active addiction, I used with people who were pregnant. I've used with people with children, and I think that's one of the more painful things of recovery, right? If you've abandoned your children for a drug or alcohol, but the reality is that addiction is more powerful than any human relationship that you have.
Mm,
Which is why higher power is really big in recovery communities because as much love as you have for your child, it will not be enough to get you sober.
mhm. We need to do we're gonna do an episode on parenthood and recovery, which we have done a part 1 to that with Sarah Benton, so if you haven't listened to that episode, run it back. What is doing I'll answer this one. What does doing the work mean to me? I think doing the work means specifically for me, being in community, having accountability, being transparent, being honest, even when it hurts, clear as kind, clear in my words, clear in my actions, staying away from toxic people. I wouldn't say for me in my recovery now, it's about like staying away from people who drink or I definitely am not hanging out with people that are fully addicted to substances and that's what they do with their time day in and day out. But I wouldn't say I am avoiding places where there may be alcohol. I mean, I think for
Absolutely
me,
not.
I'm in a place now where that doesn't necessarily bother me. But I'm also cognizant of all the other things that I'm doing in my daily life to ensure that that doesn't creep back in. Speaking with trusted advisors People in my community and in my world that have seen me struggle, that have seen, who had seen the relapses years ago, who had watched the story, been a part of the journey, and also prioritizing, others before myself, honestly. And I say that in a way that I still do things that I need to do for me, but how do I continue to be of service? And is that of service in my position at work? Is that of service in my community? Is that of service with my kids? Putting someone else before myself to make a difference,
Mhm.
because a lot of people did it for me and consistently did it for me, even when it was hard. So that's what doing the work means to me. What's one non-negotiable in your recovery?
Sleep, can I say that? I was gonna say running things by people, but honestly, I feel like at this point in my sobriety, I have enough of a connection with my higher power and also my own gut feelings that I was so disconnected from in active addiction. You know that feeling you have like, "Ooh, you shouldn't do this?" I overrode that so often that
So many times.
like my intuition was, like, non-existent when I couldn't trust anything because I just, like, I didn't know what that gut feeling was telling me anymore. So, like, early in sobriety, I had to run everything, I mean, everything by people in recovery. And now I feel like I certainly still have to talk to people, I'm not downplaying that. I do think, though, that sometimes it gets more confusing than I know what the right thing to do is now. My
It's
gut
so
tells me.
interesting you say that because I think there's this well, I know that there's this theme when we get into recovery that you don't know how to make a decision. I mean, it is truly incredible. Like, you feel so convicted when you're using, like, you know the way to get out of it or to stay in it, right?
It's
Like,
called being delusional.
but then you get into recovery and you're sober for 5 minutes and you walk into the grocery store and somebody tells you to pick out a bottle of body wash. It's not happening. It's just
Yeah.
simply not happening. Like, I have no ability in the beginning of, in the beginning of my recovery, I had no ability to make a decision.
But I think that's why, and it took me a long time to make
What type
that.
of coffee you wanna order. I mean, crazy stuff, like,
Yeah,
things that, like, you have no barometer on what you like or what you don't like. That's my
because
experience.
you're used to being the chameleon for so long that you don't know who you are. You don't know what you like because I
Zero
I like
idea.
I like drugs and alcohol. That's what I love. I mean, that was it. That was pretty much at the end, that was all I liked.
Yeah, and then everyone thinks when you get sober, it's a good idea to get into a relationship. Wait 10
I'm pretty
years.
sure they tell you not to do that.
People do it, and it's baffling to me now looking back on it because 'cause I'm like, I literally couldn't pick out a bottle of body wash, but yet I was eager to
I mean,
hook up,
our
link up,
my
suck
husband
you
and
dry,
I's, love story is one of early recovery decisions, okay?
and you're
So,
still
here we
here to
are,
talk about it.
So let's just sometimes it works out.
Yeah, there's some people that it's worked out for. Was there anything that happened in your recovery that almost took you out?
No.
Wow,
I will
really?
tell you that I tell people this a lot. When I went into treatment, I went into detox as my last stop. I didn't go to any residential or anything, but, I had a friend who brought me there. And knew another person in the detox at the time, actually. He brought me a McDonald's while we waited to get in. And the only piece of advice he told me, he was like, pray for the obsession to use alcohol and drugs to be removed. And I was so
Mhm.
desperate. I was like, I'll do that. I don't even know what that meant, right? But I've never wanted to use again.
That's
That's just my
so
experience,
yeah.
which would probably sound crazy to a lot of people, but my relationship with a higher power started there, and I didn't even know that it started there, but I was just so desperate to not be miserable anymore. Um, but yeah, I've never had a white knuckling experience. I just feel like that was it. I surrendered. I wasn't going back. I'm not saying that it was easy. I was a hot mess for
No,
a
nobody's
good
saying
2
that.
years, a good 2
Yeah,
years. It was a roller coaster.
yeah,
But I never wanted to use.
it's amazing.
Yeah. How about you?
I had the obsession come back at, like, 5 years sober, 4 years sober, and I vividly remember what happened. I was driving from Connecticut to Massachusetts where I was living, and I was really going through it because I was honestly making decisions that were rooted in self rather than taking direction from other people who had been sober a long time, you know?
Yeah.
So, I was a byproduct of my actions for sure. It wasn't that it just came out of the blue. And I think that's really important to mention because if you start to see signs and symptoms, signals and warnings with your clients, with your loved ones. Not to say it's your responsibility to, clean up, but it may be your responsibility to just gently nudge or point out that there may be something that looks a little bit different than it has, right?
Well, that's why I said to your question before about a relapse, like nobody just goes out and uses. I mean,
No.
the longer you're in recovery, the longer the path towards that picking up is. Like it's,
Yeah.
you know,
And there was a lot of, so I was making decisions that were a bit reckless. I was not putting myself first. I wasn't taking my program seriously. I was probably spreading myself thin by helping others, but not really paying attention to the things that I needed to work on within myself, right? So a whole litany of issues. And I'm driving back and I was by myself and I just had this overwhelming feeling. I was like really emotional. I felt like I wanted to drink again. And drinking wasn't my thing, but it felt like the safest thing, like I could probably justify that. I couldn't justify, going out and doing hard drugs. And I, it was bizarre. Like, you talk about like being of service and how people show up for you in a way that you can't explain and that the universe has its own powers to kind of work in this beautiful way that can't be explained. And I got a call from a girl that I used to sponsor and she was drunk. And I said to her, I was like, I feel like drinking. It was really, 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 really,
oh, this is a perfect opportunity to get a cosign by another person who's
but
also
she
drunk.
didn't. She didn't. And she said, she was like, she was crying and she was like, I'm in so much pain. You don't ever want to feel what I'm feeling right now. It was like a really like, I was able to, help her. And by way, she was helping me. Oddly enough, actually called me not that long ago. So, there's these people that weave in and out of your life and they're able to show up in ways that can't really be orchestrated, by
Mhm.
human power, at least my experience. So that was when it came back. And it just as quickly as it came back was kind of as quickly as it lifted, honestly. And I set off on a different trajectory of things that I needed to do to take care of myself.
And aren't we glad it did?
Thank God. What surprised you most about getting sober?
How much it sucked in the I mean, it was hard and it was painful, and I honestly thought that getting sober was gonna solve so many problems, and I think that I was very delusional about how much wreckage I made when I was out there, because when I
Uh,
got sober, there was a lot to clean up. Financial, legal, relational. I mean, it was just, which honestly surprises me looking back that I didn't feel like drinking more, I guess, in my early sobriety. I mean, there was just a lot of stuff. So I thought that I was gonna feel better and feel like so good about myself that I made this decision. And that was not the case. It didn't start feeling better until I was like 18 months, 2 years sober.
the last question I had for both of us was one sentence that you'd say to your past self. And I think for me, it would be, it's going to be hard. Like I tell clients, I tell families, it's not easy. If it were easy to get and stay sober, everyone would be doing it, you know?
I guess mine would be though that it's going to be better than you can ever imagine, because when people used to say, and I'm when people used to say it,
Don't quit before the miracle happens. Yeah.
beyond your wildest dreams, I would be like, come on, dude. Can we just get to like not a felon and not a warrant for my arrest and like I don't know that I could buy my own pack of Newports. That's what I was going for. It was like really the bar was set really low for how sobriety was going to improve my life.
So good.
The reality is I have a life beyond my wildest dreams now. So now I'm the person that says it's everybody else.
Yep. Yep. Well, thank you guys for tuning in for a short rapid fire question and answer. We love to see you guys. Please write in if you have any topics, any guests, any people you want to see on our episode, and continue to listen in every Tuesday. And shameless plug, please subscribe and like our YouTube channel.
Peace.